Okay, we'll call the finance meeting to order at 6:30 PM on September 12th, 2024. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Did we do that for this one?
No, not no
Oh,
more.
it's on the thing. I'm just following
You
the.
did it the wrong
Oh,
one.
I'm
You're
on the
looking
wrong
at the
one.
wrong one.
I'm on the wrong one. Don't stand for the pledge.
I mean, we can pledge again.
Sorry.
Don't care.
I looked.
Probably
I was
not a
looking at
bad
the wrong one. Meeting minutes. Okay, roll call.
Michelle Dumont,
Here.
Bob Pangborn,
Here.
Corey Harrier.
Here.
I typed pledge on here. I was like, wait, what?
Okay, have we had time to review the meeting minutes?
Yes.
Yes. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
Everybody that agrees, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and then we'll look at the approval documents. So on the NSF check, I noticed you had a comment in here about $5. Were you questioning whether it was 5 or 50, or, because you wrote?
No, at the meeting, we opted to, because they had,
Identity theft?
yes, so we
Oh,
opted not to
you were
charge for
just
the extra,
making a
just
note,
what the
okay.
bank charges us.
Okay, yep, I just read it like you were almost asking, but I get it.
She was hacked, her checking account was hacked.
Yeah.
What is gasoline excess tax distribution,
Which report do you want?
cash journal? It's like 3,000, it's by the, from the auditor.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
our
that's from
gas
the
tax.
county.
Yeah, gas
Oh, we have
tax.
to pay it.
No, we
that's
get it,
That's revenue.
Oh,
we get it from the county. It's a gas tax from the marathon,
oh, really? You get it every month?
yes. Is that correct?
I think it's every quarter, isn't it?
No, the gas tax.
Hold on, which one is it again?
It's on the third page, about halfway down.
Oh.
It's for $3,700. And then there's another one for $305,
You're on the cash?
cash journal,
Just,
page 3.
Page share.
Halfway down, $3,000.
So, are you sure that's not your permissive gas tax?
There's permissive, and then there is the gas tax.
But for the amount, because your gas tax typically
The
revenue-wise.
gas goes between, there's one that goes between the shop, the street department, and the highway. 92.5 goes
Yeah.
into,
That's what I'm saying, it's not gas tax from just the gas station. It's gas tax from the permissive tax from the state of
Oh.
Ohio.
yes, sorry.
So it's not directly tied to a gas station.
Right.
So just because it stands out, it's a little strange. Splash face painting, $800? Not sure.
That was
It
for
was
the
the
festival.
But looks like it, okay, I see.
We had the
It's
void,
got a
I made
void
it
yet.
out to her instead, I made it out to the company instead of her name.
Gotcha,
So we had the void, there's two of them we did that on.
okay.
Yeah.
And what do we pay Dewey Decibel System for?
The state.
Stage.
Oh, gotcha. That's a weird name for it.
Mhm. Yeah, we make a deposit and then a payment day of.
Okay.
And we still don't have the numbers finalized for the festival, correct?
No, we don't, not yet.
But so far, we're ahead.
Yes.
Okay. So all of those costs for the festival have been recouped through sponsorships and everything else,
Okay. That's good
which
news.
is what we
Yeah, that's good
put
news.
for.
We have all the money collected, everything but the silent auction,
Okay.
and we're gonna try to finish that up tomorrow.
And then I think all of our invoices have been paid.
I have to put the one credit card through that might have some on it for the queens and stuff. The credit card like runs a month behind.
Oh, for supplies and all that?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
so,
My card had silent auction stuff on it too. The one I
Okay.
just gave to you,
oh, okay,
had silent auction stuff on it.
okay. So we'll have that.
The
and then-
cellophane and all that good stuff.
And I think the boys bought
Has
stuff too,
the
from the
electrical,
guards and
mhm.
stuff, so we'll have to, I'll
Okay.
get them in
Yeah, this batch of cards that I just gave to you the other day.
Well, the
yesterday.
electrical is a
Yeah,
park
okay.
improvement.
Excuse me.
Oh,
Like, that's not festival, that's park improvement.
yeah, but sometimes they buy other stuff for the, I
Oh.
mean, they had something for the.
They just marked it festival.
Okay, I mean, but it's for it, because it's there 24/7.
I know, but when they go to Menards,
Yeah.
their line items,
Yeah.
like $5 for a hammer, he writes beside it festival,
Okay,
park, Grange,
Yeah.
whatever.
So it's all.
So if it's all festival, which they were, then that's how I have it.
okay.
Because I wouldn't know what to pull out, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, by looking at the stuff.
Well, we can look at them and see.
Okay.
Because, yeah, some of them are improvements to the park,
Okay,
so,
yeah, you'll have to identify those then.
okay,
I haven't paid them yet, we'll pull them out and look
That's
at them. I haven't looked at them yet, so, to see what they even are.
I just know they had a couple big Menards
Yeah.
purchases, I mean, big ones.
Yeah.
Couple $1,000s,
mhm,
that I'm assuming would be the park improvement,
yes,
but it's just labeled all festivals.
that's fine.
Here, you want one?
Yes, there.
Yeah, I went and got one from my desk.
Okay. That's one of them, so. You know what, Trevor never got hold of me either. Open.
So one thing I just want to point out with financials is, because we are getting into the last quarter, make sure that we're tracking our percentages. Because
I'm
like,
sure we're pushing a lot on.
well, we are, but I typically, like, it's always last minute scramble.
Yeah.
Like, we can look at these now and see, like, oh, for the water department, our postage is over this year, probably because we didn't account for the price increase, so we need to add some money in there. Utilities is another big one, because they all went up this year. Again, you can't really calculate for what they're really gonna do. Just make sure that we're looking at that, so we can get those appropriations approved ahead of time. And then payroll, I think payroll in all the areas other than general fund are in line with where we should be right now.
Okay.
General fund is a little over. And that's with,
And that could be a lot of the grants, because, you know, we run a lot of the,
we're talking
Oh.
payroll,
oh, okay,
payroll.
okay.
Well, and then that's the other thing is too, your professional technical services,
Oh, yeah, it's off the chart.
it's off the chart, but we do have some grant work, but again, make sure we're
Correct.
putting things in the right category,
Right.
because there are some categories that are way under.
Mm-hmm.
So just make sure that, you know, professional technical services is for professional technical services, and not something else. And then after we make our 846,000 payment, what
Yeah,
is?
I was gonna ask you what date you wanted me to do that.
Well, right
it's
now,
due
you don't have enough money in that account to make your payment, that's why I wanted to talk about it. What is the payment that we owe them?
$834,000.
834?
Yes.
Okay, so there's only $831 in there. So
In
you're
the general?
in that, not in the general, this is the grant construction. Has to be paid out of that, you won't pay this out of the general,
Okay,
you'll bankrupt us.
okay.
So it's to be paid out of 4201, grant construction, that's where you have that money sitting. But you're short a couple $1,000s. I'm assuming because we paid a bill and we're waiting on the county to reimburse us. Because we still have that, I don't want to say struggle, they do a very good job, but just the timing that paperwork needs to go through and we get the money back from the state, or from the county. So if you do have to do any payment out of the general fund,
I need to go back and look, because I think I might have paid one of the, Hall and Associates, or Van Fernandez, or how to say it.
Fernandez.
I think I might
okay, well,
have
that's the
paid
reason
that
why
out
I'm
of
like
the wrong
pointing this stuff out, make sure we're paying the right
Yeah.
things. Because right now, this shows you do not have enough money. It's by a couple $1,000s.
account. Yeah, and I think Yeah, I set up the wrong, I
Okay.
set up one of the, I paid it out of there, I know I
Okay.
did.
And then if you do have to take money out of the general fund because you're short a couple thousand,
Yeah.
it needs to be in advance.
My blue one, please. You can have the black one, thank you.
So when we get that money back into that account, that reimbursement from the county, we can put it back into the general fund. And the only way you can legally do that is by an advance. And you can only do that out of the general fund, no other account.
Well, if I go in and do an adjustment and put it into the right account.
You should be
then
fine then.
This should be fine then.
But I'm just saying, in case you need to make that payment and you're short penny, couple $1,000s, whatever, you'll have to advance it from the general fund into that
Okay.
4201 account. So that way, when we get reimbursed, we can put it back into the general fund.
And then it's due the 19th, which I think is Thursday.
Yeah, I'll say make that,
Go
don't
ahead
wait,
and do it Monday, Tuesday, or whatever.
Yes.
or-
do it as soon as possible. That way, because if it's late, that's when interest starts incurring. And if
Right.
it's not late, we don't have any interest on it. So Monday morning, once you get your account straightened up,
Okay.
that way it's just done and we're good with that. Another thing that we'll probably have to talk about it in council is because of the timing with this. Remember when we first started this was for both water towers and our goal was to have everything done last year. So we would have paid all this stuff back and we wouldn't be in, where we're at. But then Walnut Street needed extra work, couldn't be done in the wintertime. Came back this spring, the owner had an issue with the subcontractor that was here. The subcontractor left in July without warning. The owner is now back on site with his own team. But the loan that we took out to help cover the bills, to help with the reimbursements, because we don't typically have that cash on hand, expires, we gotta pay that. So we still have about $100 and some thousand left to pay out from our side. We may have to go out and get $100 and some thousand loan, again, just to kind of do what we were doing. So when the invoices come in, we're not draining the general fund. It's a zero interest loan. I would still say we do it for a year. This will not take another year, but that way we just have it for a year. It's not gonna take. Yeah, it's not. If it takes any longer than, I think his due date is end of November. After that, it's $1,000 a day he has to pay us. Unless it's something like weather or some event that, isn't.
So you actually got the same company to actually come back and finish?
Yeah, because it ended up, it's cheaper, plus you can get it done, because if we would have went the other way, we would have had to rebid it out, which would have pushed it to next year, but the cost would go up because they would want to redo everything that this company's already done.
We're out to finding somebody to come in and finish some of those projects.
Yeah.
It's hard,
Yeah.
yeah.
And DJ, and DJ's the owner, him and his team was on site, and then the other tower, we had no problems out of that one. And I don't want to say the subcontractor was the
Yeah.
problem, it's
Right,
just,
Just what it happened.
what happened, happened.
Yeah.
So like, I feel very confident we're gonna get a good end result.
Yeah, good.
Um,
Okay, so any questions about any of the documents further? We good? Okay, so old business?
Do you make a
I-
motion to approve the documents?
Oh, I need to, okay, so make a motion, do we have a motion to approve the documents?
I'll make a motion to approve the documents.
Everybody in agreement, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody that disagrees, same side? Okay. Old business, I don't show any. New business, we do have a resolution, 09-1224-01 for supplemental appropriations. We'll discuss that at the general council meeting. Anyone else have anything? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay. We'll call the meeting to or the finance meeting to close at 6:45.
Are you pausing that?
I definitely need to make some kind of cheat sheet to always have with me. Am I signing this?
Yep, please, that's the meeting.
Oh, that's right.
You're in trouble.
I know. I have to do my job.
All right. It's 7 PM on September 12th, 2024. We will call a regular session of Pleasantville Council meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Henderson,
Present.
President Dumont,
Here.
Councilman Mason,
Here.
Councilman Pangborn,
Here.
Councilwoman Harrier,
Here.
Councilwoman Wharton,
Here.
Councilman Henry.
Here.
Okay, first thing we have on the agenda is the approval of the regular council meeting minutes from August 8th, 2024. Do I have a motion to approve? Bill made the motion. Second?
I'll second it.
Second by Sarah. Roll call.
President Dumont,
Yes.
Councilman Mason,
Yes.
Councilman Pangborn,
Yes.
Councilwoman Harrier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wharton,
Yes.
Councilwoman Henry.
Yes.
Next item is the approval of special council meeting minutes from August 30th, 2024. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Corey-
I'll second it.
Corey made the motion, seconded by Bill.
By Bill,
Yeah. Roll call.
President Dumont,
Yes.
Councilman Mason,
Yes.
Councilman Pangborn,
Yes.
Councilwoman Harrier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wharton,
Yes.
Councilwoman Henry.
Yes.
All right, we'll move on to business guests. Tonight, we do have a presentation from one of our local Boy Scouts, Keegan Kelly. He has a project he would like to show us, so the floor is all yours. TV's yours, just let us know what you need.
Hi, I'm Keegan Kelly. I'm a sophomore from Fairfield Union. I went to Pleasantville Elementary and I started out in PAC 561 as a Cub Scout. And once I got to the 5th grade, I moved up to Boy Scouts with my arrow light and been earning my Eagle rank since then. I'm currently a life, so I'm almost there. Gaga Ball is a very fun, fast-paced, high-energy game. Typically played in a hexagon or octagonal pit. Players use their hands to hit the ball at other players' knees below to get them out, and it goes to last person standing. And it's very fun and energetic. The rules of Gaga you throw the ball, and you let it bounce twice while playing Gaga, and then you're good to go hit. It's knees and below, and if you get hit, you're out.
Yeah, it's the shop. Is it labeled shop?
Spectrum VF.
Okay. And then Casey has the password for you back there. Yeah, the guy in the yellow shirt.
I think he's ready now.
Sounds fun. You used to play dodgeball, which you're not allowed to play now.
Yeah, I was wondering.
It's a little bit like dodgeball in a pit,
Mhm.
but you can't hit people in the face.
Get so much fun out of it. I mean, in gym, like, that's what we like.
How big are the Gaga balls?
They're like the regular size of a football.
Okay.
Of a football?
Kickball.
Kickball.
Like the little orange nubby ones and orange from everyone's using.
Is there any spaces? So that was just a short little video to show you what it is. This is the pit I plan on buying. It's 15 by 20 by 26 and it's 28 inches tall. I'm going to be raising funds for it, and I plan on asking family and friends for donations and using the current money in my Boy Scout account. And we're currently selling popcorn for Boy Scouts, and I'm planning using that money too. I'm also going to be asking the company who sells it if I can get like a discount or free shipping. My goal for this project is to bring a fun new game to Pleasantville that me and many other scouts love. I've seen how this game brought people together at scout camp and anywhere else that has a pit. And I love it. It's a great source of exercise, and I think it'd be great for the village of Pleasantville. That's all.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So just
Any
general,
questions?
general question, sorry. So, outside of the walls, is there any type of material to keep the grass from growing?
Usually like once you use it, like all the grass just starts to die.
Mm-hmm. So,
Or I can put mulch in it if that's what you guys want.
so we would probably have to work on something like that. Again, it's just a maintenance issue for us. Because again, I think once it's fully built, that will happen. But at first, until people get educated what it is,
Yeah.
like it's gonna be a pit down there and everyone's gonna be like, what is this type thing?
Yeah, I plan on putting like a plaque
Yeah.
on it, explaining the rules and stuff.
Yeah. And we can help you socialize that too through our social media pages, like do videos like this of what it is. That way when people do come, like they know. When you first approached me on this, like I had no clue, never heard of it, so
Yeah.
I'm officially old. So, but yeah, I think, and if that's something that's not in your budget, that's probably something we can work on. But would probably want to do the installation, like the material when you do it, and that
Yeah.
way we're not going in and have to move anything. So again, I don't want to add to your budget that you've not planned for.
Okay.
Okay, all right. And you want to do this at Pleasantville Park, correct?
Yeah, the old Pleasantville Park.
Yep. Have you looked at the park to see any area that,
I haven't came up with the location
Okay.
of the park yet.
do you care if we do that?
Yeah, you guys can.
Okay, all right, because we can go out and look at it, because we also have some projects that we kind of know that's coming up, and the
Yeah.
ball diamond's being redone right now. So if you haven't been there lately, it's changed a lot down there, in that area.
Would this be a permanent structure or is it modular?
It should be permanent. I don't think it's gonna be able to move around, but it might be able to. Just gonna take a lot of work.
Okay.
How
Per-
much area does that thing go? It looks like it's pretty big size.
25 by,
Yeah, it's
15 by 20.
pretty
Like
big.
26.
yeah, so we can look at our area over there and figure out where that would fit.
Yeah.
And then, what is your timeline on this?
I'd like to get it done like late October or early November,
Okay,
preferably.
So does it seep down into the ground, or like, like, how do you,
I think this one might, or it just might sit on top.
okay. I just wonder if it would, if.
We're probably gonna
Well,
stake it down and stuff.
Yeah, I was just even thinking
Yeah.
people moving it or taking it, or like if it's
Mhm.
not.
That's why, one of the
Yeah.
reasons why I was asking if it was a permanent structure or if it
Yeah.
was modular.
all right. So, council okay with that? Again, this will be our
I think it's a
third
great
Boy
idea.
Scout project. And they all turn out great, so, actually, this is fourth Boy Scout project, I'm sorry.
I think the biggest thing you need to do is make sure it is secure, because they get her walking around, the thing could move,
Mhm.
and we don't want that.
All right, so I guess next steps is, you still have my email address.
Yeah.
Kinda, like, I still know you need to do some fundraising and ordering, and there's probably a timeline for that. Just kinda keep us up to date on that. In the meantime, we'll kinda look at the property, kinda give you our rough idea of where we may wanna put it, so you can come up and look at it as well.
Okay.
And we can probably buy, cause that cloth, the nice cloth really isn't that expensive, but we can buy it through the village, and we buy bulk mulch, so we can probably just go ahead and do that, so you don't have to worry about that. But again, I think that right there will just help us on the maintenance side. And keep that from the weeds growing around it, so. Casey, you're tracking that since I'm putting this on your list? All right. All right, any other questions from council? Any questions from anyone else that's here? All right, I think this is a great project. We appreciate you thinking of us and the residents, and I hope everyone gets to enjoy this as much as you have. So we'll go from there. All right, is there anything you need from us? I know as you finalize this, is there any letters?
I might need a letter from you in the future.
That's fine.
Right now, I think I'm good.
Okay, just let me know, and try to give me as much advance notice as possible,
Okay.
and don't let me forget. Those are the two things.
It requires 2 emails. At least.
Yeah, here's what I need, and why haven't you done it?
Or CC or Sam. Yeah, or both.
So, but I appreciate it, and again, thank you. All right. You guys are welcome to stay if you have nothing to do the rest of the night. I'm sure there's a TV show on. But feel free to leave if you want to, but you're welcome to stay as well. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Keegan.
Thanks.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you. I appreciate it. All right,
Thank you for your time.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sherry, you're next.
This part has nothing to do with my little presentation, but I was at the county commissioners meeting Tuesday, and there was a presentation on the EMA.
Mhm.
And here's it's like a readiness thing that you
Yep.
can give information, maybe put it on your website or something, and so people can know where to go.
Yep.
And here's I don't know if you have these or not, but it's,
We don't have, well, we don't have those currently. We used to, yes.
yeah,
Yep.
I mean, that's something people can fill out,
Yep.
and and John got up and gave the presentation, and he goes, you think about your pets too, because he says, I have a cat with diabetes, and if something happens, am I gonna have the medicine for my cat?
Mhm.
I mean, that was a weird, I'd never heard of that before, but,
People
anyway,
don't-
people just don't always think about what to do and what to have for those occasions, so, anyway.
Yeah, and our
that has
county,
nothing to do with
yeah,
what
and our
we're
county
talking about.
EMA does an awesome job with all that stuff. I'm sure John will be around at all the villages to,
And they've got all kinds of those down at the EMA office. I am here to talk about the Eastern Cottontail Solar Project in Fairfield County. Part of which is adjacent to the city limits of Pleasantville, which could be developed into homes or businesses instead of thousands of solar panels. I'll show you. We
You
have a
could-
group called.
you can use this center table too if you want to.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. We have a group called Citizens for Fairfields. And right now, the initial part of the project, it has a project number. This is 1,550 acres. All that pink is leased land, and it goes from New Salem Road clear over to Ruffner. Okay? And that's the current project, and they do have their application in at the Ohio Power Siting Board, so we're fighting it. It's all prime farmland. We're not necessarily against solar, we're against taking up thousands of acres of prime farmland to do so, because we're losing our cropland and our farmland. Now here is I believe this is the 10-mile radius. They're supposed to do their studies out, according to the law, 10 miles, but they're asking for, this circle around here is 10 miles from the first project. This piece right here and this piece right here is right by Pleasantville. if you plan on expanding or doing an overlay with one of the townships, with your township, to grow,
But we could still do the overlay no matter what's there. I mean, an overlay is something that we can pull down at any time. Like, the solar does not impact that overlay.
well, it actually does because you can't build anything there.
I understand,
For
but,
30
but an
years.
overlay is still there, so let's just say that has a 100-year life. And let's just assume, again, we know assumptions, it probably won't be true, but let's say they have a 100-year lease and they move out in 100 years, that overlay could still be pulled down 100 years later if it's still active, meaning they haven't changed zoning and everything else.
Well,
Yeah.
right, but in the meantime, you don't have an option of, to grow in that direction. Because this piece and this piece are so close to you that if you put houses out here, who's gonna wanna live
Yeah.
looking at that and having that in their, within the view? This is Pleasantville, that piece of land and that piece of land. And then they also have this piece over here and this piece up here. Thurston's not real happy because they're gonna be boxed in. So anyway, the initial project that is at the Ohio Power Siting Board right now is 1,550 acres. There's gonna be approximately 63,000 steel piles driven into the ground 10 feet. And then hundreds of thousands of panels, solar panels, okay? In Ohio, solar, now we're talking industrial solar, we're not talking on the houses, on the barns, on your garages, on top of the buildings, we don't care about that, okay? We're talking about taking up farmland because that's exactly what they want, is farmland, because it makes it very easy and cheaper for them to build their project, okay? In the project, they build gravel roads. There's gonna be compaction of the land. They will be breaking field tiles that hook into surrounding fields. So, and because they know that, they said that they're gonna put in their own drainage system. But that means that they have to tie in all of the rest of the land around, so they don't flood the neighboring fields. It's already happened with one of their projects in Madison County, the same company, EDF Renewables. Project is called Fox Squirrel, Madison County. The first phase was a couple thousand acres. The second phase they're working on, and it's coming along, that will be approximately 4,500 acres total, okay? They've already had to mitigate some of the water problems over there, and they're not quite done yet. So what we're asking for the villages and the townships to do is to write a letter in support of the initial project is mostly in Walnut Township. And Walnut Township is opposing this project. It's too close to the lake, it's too close to recreation areas. We've got biking, cycling in the area on the country roads with the biking signs. The roads are not conducive to all of the traffic. Most of them are trip and seal without a real heavy base. Like Lake Road and Canal Road and Ruffner and even 256. Jeremiah Up, the county engineer, said that even that is not really conducive to the equipment and the traffic and everything that it's going to take for a project such as this. So we're asking village councils to write a letter in opposition to the project in support of Walnut Township, opposing and asking them to deny the Eastern Cottontail project. And I have the project, the case number and everything that you can do that. They talk about how much money that they're gonna give to the schools because it's a real pilot program. It's payment in lieu of taxes. They're already kind of throwing money around in different areas, sponsoring this and sponsoring that, and you know, saying how great it's gonna be. However, usually what happens is the solar companies generally will end up selling that project. They've already sold half of phase 1 of Fox Squirrel to a Canadian company. EDF is a French company, so it's not, they talk about home, you know, local power and local energy and American energy. It's not. It's a foreign company. They have an LLC that is Eastern Cottontail LLC, because that's the project name. Okay, they have different LLCs for every project that they have. According to Senate Bill 52 that was passed and took effect October 11th of 2021, there are some additional rules. However, this project started, the studies and everything, they all start under like AEP, you know, whatever the power company is, okay? And that goes through PJM, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with PJM, it's a regional transmission organization that actually controls where the power goes within 13 states and Washington, D.C. So the power that's generated generally is not going to go to the houses. It's going to go to Microsoft, it's going to go to Intel, it's going to go to Google, it's going to go to Amazon.
So just to stop you there, so I'm not an electrical engineer by all means, I'm an accountant, right? I know numbers, I don't know electric. However, the electric that's going down any one of these lines, it's like water.
Yeah, I mean, it's like putting a bunch of marbles
I'm
in
going
yeah.
to get whatever electric, it's, the way you made it sound is like that, there's gonna be a direct line somewhere else and like bypass us, which I don't think that's what you're trying to say.
No, it's just that it goes to the grid.
Yes.
Although, if you take a bag of marble, if I give everybody a marble, and we throw all of their marbles in a bag, it's like, which marble is gonna go to Amazon?
Yeah.
You know, it's basically that.
Yeah.
However, they sign power purchase agreements.
Mhm.
So, and Amazon has already done this, Google has already done this,
Intel. all of them.
I mean, yeah, you name it, and it's going to the big chip manufacturers, it's going to other AI, it's going, I mean, that take up a lot of energy and a lot of water.
Yep.
Okay? So they sign these power purchase agreements. So they're not gonna pay the same as you and I do on our electric bill, okay? Our AEP bill, if you look on the far right, I don't know what electric you have down here, but
AEP.
AEP. If you look on the far right of your bill, there are about 3 or 4 little paragraphs. We are already paying for renewables, and I have confirmed that with AEP, okay? So they add, you know, because they need more money to,
And that's been going on for almost a decade.
yes, exactly. But they're about to add more to it because they're gonna put in a $95 million project from up by Intel all the way down. And Intel is the one that's gonna pay about $730,000 or $740,000 of that $95 million, and they're going to push the rest of it off on all of the AEP customers, okay? So that came straight from an article from AEP. But they sign these power purchase agreements, and they say, okay, you're only gonna have to pay X for each kilowatt hour for so many years. So they're locked in. When electric rates go up here, guess who gets to pay the difference between up here and their contract amount? It's basically like people who have, that sell power back to the grid if they have panels on their homes or their building or something. And if the electric company has net metering, then they can't make any money unless they charge the other people the difference. And that's what happens.
Yeah. But that happens no matter what, whether it's renewable
Well,
or
not if they go to net billing.
Correct, but every city of Lancaster, city of Columbus, city of Pickerington, Violet Township, anyone that has an industrial area gives types of credits. The village does, the local government does, the utilities do, because they want that tax base, right?
Right. But the little guy
Oh, no, I
doesn't have
agree with you.
anybody advocating for them.
I get that, but it
It's just
doesn't
like-
has no direct correlation with the solar, it's how businesses ran.
Yeah,
We get
yes,
screwed
but
at the
more
end.
so, but more so with the renewables, because somebody's gotta pay that difference,
Mhm.
okay? And, but not everybody has an advocate
Mhm.
for, I mean, I think residential does, like small business, they're trying to get, because I sit on the state board for NFIB, and they're trying to get representation, hey, you've got it for the big guys,
Mhm.
and you've got it for the little people, but there's nothing in between.
We're the same way, our electric is $20,000 a year for this village.
I
I mean, that's
would-
from streetlights to buildings to.
I would think it would be more than that.
Well, but we just entered into a new
Yeah.
contract, again, to ensure that we pay a
Yep.
certain rate for the next few years, to help save our budget.
Yeah. Now, did you know that as of July 31st, when PJM they had the big auction?
Mhm.
I don't know if you've read that or not, but what people were paying, and this is in PJM, so it's 13 states and Washington
Yep.
DC, was $2 billion, okay?
Mhm.
It went to $14 billion. So all of our electric rates are gonna go up.
Yeah, we locked in before July, because we knew July they were going up, so that's why we locked in at our expiring contract, so that way we can
Yeah,
get into
you had a
it,
contract, yeah,
Yes.
okay. So everybody else gets to pay the difference.
if you're not in a contract, yes.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's what a lot of people don't understand
Mhm.
is in their homes and their small businesses is that they're paying the difference of all of this.
Mhm.
In addition to construction costs and that type of thing, because it all comes out of our pockets, okay? But the biggest thing is that solar in Ohio is only 12 to 15% efficient. And the panels that they have out right now aren't real efficient. And they shoot for basically 20%, like the Yellowbud project in Pickaway County, which they've had all kinds of problems with that, with cracked panels, that flooding, you name it.
That's been their nightmare project, I believe.
Yes, it has, and that's the same company that's trying to put one in Amanda.
Mhm.
That's 1,700 acres down there. But we were three of us went over there and visited that project and talked to one of the maintenance guys. And the field is wet, and, they drilled 4 wells, so the runoff would go down into those wells to prevent flooding from across the road, because that's what was happening. One of the guys across the road has gotten an attorney and everything because it's a mess. But their goal for last summer was to try to reach 20%. So if their goal is 20%, and Ohio, it only produces when the sun's shining. And Ohio, on average, has approximately 4 to 4.5 hours of direct sunlight to produce halfway decent power, okay? The rest of the time, you get some wind on the wind, the wind fields. The rest of the time, it's gas, coal, and nuclear, and some hydrogen, some other renewables and that type of thing too. So anyway, we're concerned about the farmland. We're concerned about the potential possible pollution if water gets into panels that are broken, which happened it went all summer and clear through at least February, when I was over at Yellowbud. It went through that whole time, and they still were only 90% complete on replacing the broken panels.
Yeah, but the broken panel, there's not been any study that shows that it contaminates the ground. Credible study.
It can.
Credible
If
study.
it gets water, because you've got cadmium, you've got silver, you've got all kinds of metals in there. Now, what they're doing on this project is the project at Fox Squirrel, they used a 530 watt panel, okay? They're bumping it up to 700, I believe it's 730 watt panels for this project, which means it's gonna have more metal in it, it's gonna have more of everything in it, okay? It's gonna have, I believe, 73 inverters Those are usually the things that emit electromagnetic field. Those are the things that normally catch fire. Yellowbud has already had 3 fires in a year. Not big fires, but nevertheless, they've had 3 fires.
Yep, and they're difficult fires to put out. They're like
Yes, they are.
They're
You
like a
can't
battery
just-
car. Once they catch on fire, you have to let them burn out. It's no
Exactly.
different than an electric car on the road.
Yep,
Yep.
yep. That's right. Sometimes it'll take 3 or 4 days to burn out. So our local fire departments really don't have the manpower or the equipment, depending on how big the fire is. The solar companies basically say, you don't go inside that fence, you just let it burn. Well then, okay, are we gonna have an East Palestine situation here? Is it gonna catch fire on the neighboring cropland?
So, and I don't mean to rush you, but.
No, I'm just,
Yeah,
you know,
but,
we're
it's a-
just asking
yes, for a letter of support from the
a
village.
letter of
So
support for,
this is my opinion, again, council can have a different opinion than me, and they can do what they feel.
okay,
I've always been neutral between, Citizens for Fairfields and the project. Because I want to make sure both of you have a voice, because both of you have to have checks and balances with everything. And I think you
Correct.
do a good job checking and balancing out those conversations.
Right.
And there's a very important need for you guys, and I appreciate that. However, at the end of the day, we don't have any say in it, okay? Like, we don't.
ooh, but you do.
No, hold on, we don't, because it's not within our jurisdiction, okay? We can write letters of support, however, I've decided, I'm not sure what they've decided, to remain neutral in this, because again, there are things that will impact the village possibly that I need to make sure I fight for, and I'm already doing that. So one of them is our water source, because again, where that area is close to our wells.
Yep,
Okay, we gotta make sure that there's contingency plans in there, that if something would happen, that they are liable to pay for that at whatever cost, and it's not a cap cost of $1 million, because it may take more than $1 million to fix that, right? And that's the problem with some of the contracts that prior solar fields have done, is they've capped things. So when something happens, they write a check for the $1 million and tell you to have a nice day, and it costs the village $5 million, right? So that's one thing that we will be working with the siting board on, because we've already had this discussion earlier in this process.
are you working with Jonathan with
Fairbrush.
the Citizens for Fairfield, Citizens?
Yeah, for
For-
high rural water, or Fairfield County rural water.
Fairfield Soil and Water?
Yeah, yeah, I went to school with Jonathan, so,
Oh, did you really?
yeah.
Okay.
So,
He's brilliant. I mean,
yes,
he
no.
knows his
no,
stuff.
and that's the reason why it's like, I feel comfortable working with him,
Yeah.
because he's a lot smarter than I am when it comes to this stuff.
And they're gonna be an intervener.
Yes.
They've already filed.
So we are going to be doing those type of things. Our other concern is drainage, meaning in that area, everything goes into Walnut Creek. And Walnut Creek completely wraps this village, okay? Even though it's not technically called Walnut
Yeah,
Creek.
there are
until-
like 3 different watersheds up there.
Yeah,
and-
But Walnut Creek is what we sit in.
Yes, that
okay.
off to the west.
And it all comes down here and it already floods
Yep.
because of what's tied into it.
Right.
So we have also put in there, or will be asking, that gets improved to make sure that there's no additional flooding. Again, it is a floodplain. It is just a known floodplain, no matter what, with what's currently in there. No matter how much improvement they do, it's just the way it sits because of all the water drains into Walnut Creek and then goes out 188,
Yep,
out 17, over to Baltimore. You know, that's just the lay of the land.
right.
You
And then some of the other goes down to the Rush Creek Conservancy.
That's
And
on,
goes
yeah.
through on the other side
Yes.
and goes to
Yes.
Oakthorpe.
But for the village, those are our 2 things that we're already tracking. We're already working with different people to make sure that we're protected on that and making sure that we have advocacy for that.
Yeah.
Because to me, I need to protect the village. That's it.
Right,
And those are the 2 things that could impact us the most.
yeah.
The other things are hypotheticals that could impact the village, right? Because people talk about, home prices. Right now, home prices are through the roof. And again, will that impact it? I don't know, because every study that you read where there is solar, it shows you some of them are going up, some of them go down, but it's not directly independent on that field. It's also the market, the improvement, like there's too many things that go into it. Like I can't control that.
Yeah.
So, but those are the 2 things that we've discussed in the past.
But
that
there
we-
are studies that show if you're within, a mile, or if you're within 2 or 3 miles, or, the farther out you go, the less effect it
Yeah,
has.
but when you read the studies, you also got to read read the sources too, because
Right. Oh,
when you
yeah.
also look at those, some of them, the source will tell you how it's gonna end. You know how the story's gonna end because of the source, right?
Right.
So, but when you just look at a holistic from like a realtor, like looking at those type people, your
Mhm.
experts, they will tell you, it could not, don't know.
Yeah.
Because any other area, there's so many other variables in play, you can't say, oh, that had a direct impact, because it may not have, but 20 other things happen that cause the influx or depreciation of the value.
We've already had in the area, an elderly lady who tried to sell her home
Mhm,
like adjacent to the project.
mhm,
And they had a contract on it, and the people found out
mhm.
that there might be solar there, and they totally backed out.
Yep.
Both parties were devastated because the people that wanted the house just were,
Yep.
they wanted to move into country.
Yeah, and that's possible. I mean,
You
again,
know.
that's possible because everyone has their different
And that's
feelings.
not the only
Yeah.
property
So-
that's happened to.
We've always made sure that you guys had room using all of our facilities for free to have whatever, and they're still available to you. Like, make sure you always know that. You're always welcome to all of our events, same way with the other side. Like, we just make sure you guys have a place to have your voice.
Sure.
And I feel like that is as fair as we can be. Now, that's my opinion. Now, if council has a different decision, they can write their own letter. But, for me, I feel it's beneficial that we remain neutral on this and just make sure we provide both sides with whatever support we can give them without writing letters opposing, agreeing, because end of the day, it's not in our, we can't vote on that, we can't have a say in that, we don't have any direct thing other than writing letters.
Yeah.
And-
However, the Ohio Power Siting Board looks at public officials,
Mhm.
the towns, the
I understand.
townships.
But I'm also a big
the
proponent
county
of
commissioners.
property owners' rights, like,
What's that?
property owners' rights. I'm also a big proponent for that. I always have been.
Okay, that's
So-
one of the things we hear.
Mhm.
It's like, well, it's my land, I
Yeah.
should be able to do whatever I want to with it. Well, no, you can't. That's why there is zoning. And
Yes.
that's why there are
As long
rules.
as it's properly zoned. Again, that's not our zoning. I can't control that.
Yeah.
But if they go
Well,
through all
but
their
see,
proper.
that's farmland, the zoning, they don't have to go through
Okay,
zoning.
that's a Walnut Township discussion, not a Pleasantville
Yeah.
discussion.
No, it's a county-wide, they don't have to go through zoning.
Okay, but again, I can't sit there and give you any input on that, so.
Right, but I'm
that's-
just saying people, because I couldn't move in next door to you and say, well, you know what, I want to put in a dump, and you'd probably say, you can't do that, you have to
Yeah,
go through
depending on the
zoning.
zoning rules.
It's like, well, it's my land, I should be able to
Yeah.
do what I want.
No, I
So
got-
it's both sides, so, the property rights of a few, which is approximately, 13, 14
Okay.
property owners, compared to, there are many homes around this project. Some projects have very few houses in the area.
Yep.
This
So-
project has homes all around and in between.
Okay, and I appreciate that. So, again, council, I choose personally to remain neutral, personally and as mayor. I mean, because, I think both sides are important to get their voices out and to educate people, and people need to be educated properly on this subject, because I believe both sides misconstrue facts to kind of tell a better story to fit their narrative.
Well, actually,
And I want to make sure that when we position ourselves, we're not hurting ourselves in any way in the future, type thing. That's me personally, but again, that's my stance on it. Council, would you like to put up a vote on if you guys want to write a letter of support or not?
we have been extremely careful in our research, and we don't just go by opinion. We research from, specialists and scientists and, we raised money for the attorney. We made sure that we didn't take any money, and in our letters, we even said, to, protect our reputation, we cannot take money from anyone associated with the energy industry, and we listed them all.
Yep.
So,
Well, that's.
because
I
some
appreciate that.
organizations are being accused of dark money and that type of thing,
Yeah.
and so we've been extremely
Yeah, I'm
careful.
not accusing you of dark money. I'm just, everyone tells
Oh,
their
no,
own.
I know, yeah.
So,
But
so-
we've been very, very careful about research.
Okay, so, what does council say?
Yeah, so, we'll, wanna take a vote?
I don't really think that we can do anything without further discussion.
Yeah.
We don't-
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, we'll table it
yeah, I
and
didn't,
then take a vote and get back to you.
you should have a
We probably
discussion.
all have different, ideas and opinions,
Yeah.
and we probably all need to discuss those.
Oh,
and-
sure, absolutely.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
there are a lot of concerns. Flooding is a big one, because of the runoff, and then they, you know, they talk about, okay, well, that it's because it's a low profile, then people aren't gonna be able to see it very, well, the lowest profile is gonna be at noon. The rest of the time, those panels are gonna be up one way or up the other way, and then they talk about, okay, we're gonna put sheep or something in there. Well, you can't have a real low profile and have sheep because they jump on the panels and they, I mean, and then they talk about planting pollinators. Well, sheep will eat the plants, so, I mean, I don't know how they can have it both ways. You know, they've promised some things, and there have been times when we've asked some of the same questions to different people, and we'll get 3 or 4 different answers, which concerns us.
Yeah.
Now, I know they have to have a performance bond. Before we retired, we were in construction for 136 years. And we know, as a subcontractor, we know that when a general contractor has a performance bond, and if they go belly up or something, those performance bonds never cover the actual costs. Because this is, by law, it's supposed to be reviewed every 5 years. Well, what happens if you're in year 4 and something happens? Or what happens if they sell it, or when they sell it to another company, and they might not be, you know, I mean, who knows?
Yeah, and I'll be truthful, that happens in all the industries. If you look at coal.
Oh, I know.
I mean, we have state forest. I mean, it's
Yeah.
part of the industry.
Yeah.
When they're trying to produce energy, there's
Yep.
gonna be agreements.
And there are good
But
ones and there are bad
we
ones.
here can't, I think what Jason's saying is, we're not part of those agreements, especially since it says outside. So we have to kind of just, we'll get together and
Okay.
we'll discuss what's better for the
Sure.
citizens, because that's what we say. For, you know, what Pleasantville, what's best
Sure.
for
Yeah.
Pleasantville in itself. We
I
have
just
always.
don't want you waiting to see, like you said, okay, if there is a problem, then you want to make sure that they will pay us to do that. Well,
And we haven't, I will be truthful, we haven't been waiting. I myself personally, we've been talking to commissioners. The commissioners definitely know our concerns. And their studies and such that they are working on to get back to us on.
yeah,
Because
They've had to-
we do have like Jason said, for flooding and, you know, all kinds of things. But
yeah,
we're been waiting for those studies, and the county commissioners are definitely, you know, looking at it too.
Yeah.
Because it is more of a county, you know, it's out in the county, so, instead of in the village, but, I
it does.
totally understand your concerns. I'm not gonna be living very far from it, if you wanna, but
Oh, lucky you.
I can't look at it just from my perspective, I
Yeah.
have to look at it from everybody's perspective.
sure.
But it's always good to hear
Yeah.
everybody's input, so we could
Yeah.
thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you,
Yeah.
you know, allowing me to come in and do this, and we're concerned about the other property owners and living there
Yeah.
with it, because they bought that property to live in the country. And it's just, with the technology the way it is, at least once or twice a week, I read, you know, like tech, I get all the solar newsletters and the tech news, you know, and all that, and the latest and the greatest that's out there. And there are a lot of things out there now where they are really close to, you know, making this big, where you don't have to destroy all that land. And they say, after 30 years, well then, after they decommission, that the land will be returned to its original use. If you talk to soil specialists, and I have soil specialists, they say no, it's not gonna happen. Not only that, but EDF has never decommissioned a project in the United States. So how do we know what's gonna happen?
Yep. So
You know what I mean?
we appreciate your time. And again, you guys do a great job. I do want to make sure you understand that. Because again, there has to be two sides on this conversation
Oh,
to make
sure.
sure everyone gets the right information and everyone has the right channel to go through.
Yeah.
So you guys are very much needed, and we appreciate everything you
Okay.
guys do. And again, make sure you do know, like, we've always allowed either side to use any of our buildings for meetings and all that. I think you guys had one, it turned out to be too small.
Way back, there
Yeah.
was one in the building, you know,
Yeah,
right. I
so
don't know
just,
which
you know,
direction over
yeah.
here.
So,
Somewhere.
but that's always available to you guys, through that organization, because we think
Yeah.
it's fair to make sure everyone gets that information, you know,
Sure.
we don't wanna just be
Yeah.
like, you know, we want to only tell one half of the story type
They,
thing.
they did have their 2 required information meetings. They were not near the project. They had one at the
Fairfield
Liberty
Union.
Center,
Oh,
and they
yeah.
had one at Fairfield Union. Neither are close to the initial project. And the second project, which is right behind it, I've got both of the final studies on, required at PJM. And they're intertwined, okay? So, and EDF keeps saying, well, we're not going to pursue that at this time. But both of those projects are expedited
Okay. Well,
in
we
the system, so.
we
just-
appreciate it.
I mean, just let
Yeah.
you
We'll-
know
we'll-
that
We'll
it's.
definitely have a discussion and
Yeah.
we'll take a vote and then we'll get back to you.
Sure, but OPSB does take a look at what you say, and even if you write a letter stating, hey, these are our concerns,
Yep.
put it in writing to OPSB.
That's, I mean, through Jonathan, that's what we will be doing.
Yeah.
Because actually I need to circle back with him, because last time we talked, it wasn't the time to send the letter, type
Right.
thing. And now that they're kind of applying at the siting board, like, when is
Oh,
that?
it's there.
When is that magical date? Because I also know they have a certain timeline they have to follow.
Well,
So-
the staff has like 60 days from the time that they apply.
Yep.
They have like 60 days to review, and then give them a certificate of completeness, just the application, is
Yep.
your application complete?
Yep.
And they're reading those letters and doing all of that, and our attorney said that all needs to be in at least 15 days prior to the staff report.
Mhm.
We don't know when that is yet, but it's getting close. So, the sooner the better. Just writing to them and letting them know that also, the second project that's gonna tie into that is right at your corporation limit.
Mhm.
And so
All right, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
okay, thank you
Thanks,
so
Sherry.
much.
All right, is there anyone else that would like to speak under public input? Nope, all right. So we'll go ahead on to council reports. Finance?
So we don't have anything to report. We will have a resolution later in the meeting that we'll review.
Okay. Zoning and property maintenance. I know our zoning permits are up this year just because we've been doing more enforcing it, and educating people that, permits are needed. Again, when people don't know, they don't know, and we work with them, type thing. But, that is getting better. And then maintenance as far as that, because it's fall, things are dying, it'll start dying down. We do have a couple properties that have been looked at. They need some attention, but they're probably going to be elevated to the mayor's court most likely. And if so, we'll handle it through that channel, if that's because they're not wanting to take action, so.
I was gonna ask, does she put a list together for us?
She has a list. I don't have it
Okay.
here, but yes.
Okay.
I don't have the property maintenance list, but I do have the zoning list.
Okay, so I'll probably reach out to her because I probably should start
Okay.
paying closer attention to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and basically on the property maintenance side, what I've told Heather is you handle it until you don't want to handle it, and then it goes to mayor's court essentially.
Right.
Because again, sometimes it's, okay, they have 6 different items that need to be fixed.
Yeah.
They're working on 3 of them. The other 3, like
Yeah.
it costs money, they got,
Right. I just figure I'll
Yeah.
reach out to her and have her send it to me, and
Yep.
then it just can be like an oversight piece,
Yep.
just so we're aware of what she's got going on.
not a problem. Records, rules, and law?
I don't have anything tonight, but we did have sort of a delay. We had a lot of stuff going on between all of us, so, and then the festival sort of got in the way, so we'll get together and we have all the stuff, and we need to get back, the council, or the committee needs to get back together and go over a few of our ordinances, so I'll let Sam know so that when we decide to meet, so that she can post it.
All right, recreations, community center and pool?
Nothing new that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Is there anything that,
The pool project is finished, so I guess now's probably a good time to kind of talk about that. Originally, the pool project was supposed to be redo all the concrete around the pool itself, so the exterior concrete, gut the bathrooms and redo those. Now, in saying that, we also knew we had some leaks at the pool, so we also brought in a company to fix the leaks at the same time, but that's out of pocket, not under the grant. We were working with Fairfield Union School District on that. We ran into a lot of pushback with times that they would allow us on the property, because again, it's right beside the school, and, you know, you can't have a lot of construction going on while students are in class. I get that. But it came to the point where, after the outside concrete was completed, and it was time to like bid the inside job, no one would bid on it because they put stipulations that was unrealistic. Weekends only, third shift, basically you can't be seen by the students. Everybody that touches foot down there has to have a background check, which I agree with that, but, you know. Then there was also, they can't use the doors on the building. They actually wanted part of the fence peeled back on the opposite side of the school to make a construction entrance. But then they would have to secure that every night, which then it's just something else to go wrong that wouldn't be secured. So no one would bid on the job. So we finally went back to the state and just said, can we just eliminate that piece of it and put it towards another like job? They came back and said yes. So the inside will not be done. Okay, just, I don't know what else to do there, because we're running out of time with that money, because everything is on a timeline. In addition to that, when we put the permit together with the state for the pool, they approved it as written. We built it as they approved it. They came down and started deleting stuff. They deleted our diving board because they said it's not proper. Nothing changed on it, just the concrete around it. So the diving board had to be deleted. Even though they approved it, they said that was not something they would approve. They've also come back now, and they still haven't officially permitted the pool yet for next year's operation. We have to install some fencing, some gates somewhere to make the perimeter more secure. So basically what we have to do is, and I'm not sure if you're all familiar with how the pool's laid out, but you go from the exterior of the pool into a building, a hallway, and then that leads outside. They want a lockable gate between the pool deck and the building. So that way kids can't leave the pool or come in. Like, again, it's gonna cost us a couple $100 to fix it. We're gonna do it to get our permit. The windows in the concession stand, which is not part of the project, he said that he wouldn't approve the permit unless we raised those, because to today's standards, it has to be 48 inches from the concrete. Back then, it was 36 when it was built. Even though the concession stand isn't even into play, he would not approve the permit until we fix that. So now we have to do an extra report, because we're gonna do that ourselves, which is now considered in-kind services for the grant. Get that approved by the grant source by the state in order to go back to the state health, Department of Health, to get that approved. So that's turned into a little bit more of a mess than what we anticipated. Nothing that we can't recover from, but just to bring that up, that, you know, those changes will happen. The other alternative was not to do any of that, completely shut down the building, which is where the restrooms are and where everyone gains entry, and just let people, even though this sounds stupid, gain entry from the side gate. Again, that would give you more access to the pool to come in and out versus having to tunnel them through a building. But again, it's state rules because of whatever. You know, we tried to fight, we tried to get other people to fight for us, and we were basically told, you can't fight with this part of the state. There's just no way. And I get it, you know, if it was a brand new pool, it makes sense, but it's an aged pool that we were doing updates to, and we just kind of got caught up in that. So
does it completely eliminate the diving board?
yes,
Like we won't have it?
no, they would not even let us put the spikes back in the ground. And what was stupid about it, this is how dumb it is. So when we submitted the plans, it was to remove all that concrete, reinstall the post that the board sits on, exactly where it was situated before, exact measurement, nothing changed, and we actually have the original diving board template for that. Like, there's no guessing. They approved it. If we would have sawed around just the base, like not even leaving an inch around the base, they would have approved it, because then the diving board didn't change. It's one of those, like, okay, why is this Why is this rule a rule for something like this? It all goes down to the depth of the pool is really what it is, and then the sidewall. When the pool was built, that was the acceptable measurements. Now it's not, so you have to change the entire pool, which we don't have the money for. But, so what we've done is we're gonna reallocate that money back into our parks, since that was a like thing. And basically what it is because part of this grant was multiple projects. So for the parks, it was a new concession stand, redoing the ball field, adding dugouts at Pleasantville Park. So we can do similar items like that. Like we can't do something new, like install a playground, because that wasn't something that was on there. The concession stand was kind of on the light side because of funds, so we're kind of adding some money into there. Depending on how that goes out, that bid's out tomorrow, is when the bids will be opened on that one at the county. And then once we go through that and we don't use any of the contingency, then we're gonna build some additional dugouts at Body Park, because they didn't get done on the last one, because of funds. So that's kind of where we're at with that. Those are the big changes, significant changes that families are gonna see. But again, we're not losing the money, we're just reallocating it for something like that was already in the grant. And we'll be working through that. And then at the community center, we got that reimbursement grant from the county for $15,000. So at the community center, some of the busted doors have been replaced, concrete work has been done. They'll be finishing that up by the end of this month. They got to do some sealing on some of the concrete. It looks a lot better than what it did, and the door's a little bit more secure, especially the one that was completely rotted off. So that building is a little bit more secure. And when we did, and this building got new doors too as part of that grant. But all the security doors now have windows, so you can see who's out before you open up the door. So we've added that. That's realistically the only thing that's major outside of grant work. So, all right. So we'll move on to county boards, regional planning and board of health.
There hasn't been a meeting for either, so
Okay.
nothing to report.
All right. We'll go ahead. Grant updates. I mean, I basically gave you a grant update there. The OPWC funding for Walnut Street, like I said, we did not get the first round. I don't think we should apply for the second round. One, because that second round, they usually want more money from us. Right now, we don't have that spare money, because we're finishing up a lot of large projects. We allocated, I think, $23,000 for that. But again, they're probably going to want, in round two, is basically like a game. They're going to give you less money and you pay more. Take a larger loan, probably put out a larger local, and I don't feel like right now is a good time to do that. So I've informed the engineers not to apply for that. The application is due in November, but I figured, financially, that's probably the best decision until we kind of get caught up on all the other projects we got going on. Any comments or questions on that? All right, everything else is moving forward, completing, and then hopefully by the end of this year, we'll have all of our major projects completed. All right, maintenance report.
Just want to check the thing.
Oh,
I was just,
okay. Sorry, I could have went on to next, so.
actually, there wasn't a lot we got done, except because everything went to the setup and the recovery of the festival. Still working on, we found a major leak, or shouldn't say major leak, we found leaks, we've been repairing them, in the system. We've got a couple repaired, but we're still constantly looking.
And before you go on with leaks, just to mention to everyone, some of the problems we're having is people will have small leaks, they're not thinking nothing of it. Like we had a lady that was on one street, her backyard was wet, it was soaked, because she had a water break, but it wasn't going through her meter. So she didn't care. When I say she doesn't care, that's not wrong, but like she didn't know, like, what is that from? And she's kind of new to the village, new to owning a home. We were tracking a water break, but again, we don't walk through people's yards. And it was a yard that you don't look from the street and see it. It wasn't until, I think she said, made a comment to the office or whatever, like, oh, I got water on my sidewalk, I don't know where it's from. That was one of our major leaks. So anytime someone says, hey, I got something odd, just let us know, because sometimes it may be related, it may not. Because we're always chasing ghosts is what we call it, because, you know, a big leak, we'll see if it's on our main line. But if it's a service line, and some service lines go and wrap around and come in through the back of the house versus the front, so we don't always see everything. You know, just make sure people are reporting that back to the office so we can track it. Again, it's just nice to know. You know, and it may uncover something else. It may not be a water issue as far as like water we drink. It may be another type of issue that we can help them address or whatever. So just make sure that everyone understands to report that kind of stuff to the office, no matter how small it is.
That's really about it.
Okay. Yeah, and thank Tony, Casey, our summer help for all the work they did at the festival. I know a lot of people put a lot of work in it, but like, this is the official thank you from us. You know, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears go into doing that one-day festival with setup, tear down, and stuff like that. So I appreciate that. All right. Police report, Chief Garber.
So our two new female officers are doing good. They're going through their field training. We have both of them out this week for a little more training, and they're coming along nicely. They'll probably be on their own right next month, I'd say. They're a fast study, I guess. We did have just about everybody out for the festival, at least the parade portion, and then lots of them had their jobs to go to or things to do, so I let them go when they needed to. Mike and I stayed pretty much the whole night until the festival was officially shut down. So that went pretty good. I mentioned at the last meeting, we're gonna switch the K-9 unit from the current 2013 Tahoe to the 2020 Ford for fuel economy issues, so I did order that insert. I got word from the vendor that it's supposed to be shipping at any time, so hopefully that will arrive quickly. We got an issue with the light bar on that car. They're all high tech now, so it's not just, you know, how it's involved in motors that you could replace a Radio Shack with this circuit boards and everything else. Well, anyway, one or two of the screws on the top of the light bar, just they have little leather gaskets that go around them, and one of them, or I think actually two, dry rotted or whatever, it's baked in the sun and cracked. Just letting rainwater get in, stripping right on the circuit board. Well, the light would stay, like the red light would stay on. You couldn't shut it off. As soon as the console get power, you don't have any lights on, the light's on. So we were able to get it to work for a little while by drying it out and silicone the holes and put the screw back in and everything. They must have done some sort of damage to it. There must have been some, I don't know, electrical, not friction, but basically it caught fire. I'll say, you know, a small smoke burned its board out on it. So I went up to the state earlier this week, I think it's Wednesday, and they gave us some light bars because they're changing the state patrol cars. They're going from the Chargers to the Durangos, and they're getting all different. They used to have all blue lights, now we're gonna have red and blue, so they're getting rid of all the blue. And there's nothing wrong with those light bars, so they're like, take as many as you want, you know, because they can't sell them to the public, and they're having a hard time auctioning them to other states and stuff. So, I grabbed up some of those and we'll just switch the light bars out. You know, they'll basically be for nothing, so that'll be good. As far as that, fixing that problem goes. Last month we had, or I guess, I think I meant to say August there, so that's on me for not changing the template, but, so in August we had 97 cases, not July. We did have a burglary. By law, it's classified as a burglary. It was really not anybody breaking in per se, but a marathon. We had 3 kids in the middle of the night go out, pull on some doors, one of them popped open. It did set the alarm off. The sheriff's office responded to an alarm drop in the middle of the night. Of course, they're closed. They chalked it up as an alarm activation. Staff come in the morning, they called me and said, hey, we've had a burglary, so I come in town. And then the sheriff's office also got another call too, once they kind of figured out that this was a burglary that occurred earlier that night. So if you saw a large police presence a couple weekends ago, I think it was on Saturday, that's what that was about, because the same kids did the break-in, they did steal some vodka, some cigars, all that kind of stuff. They were actually hanging out on South Main Street, very close to this, right behind this building, actually. There's an old RV that's sitting out there, that was like their base of operations. And then, so the sheriff's office responded to that. Before I could get here from home, the kids fled from the sheriff's office. They caught one of the three. They're out here all day, talking to people around the area, trying to figure out who, ID the other kids. They're able to do that. Probably there for about 5 hours. At the bottom of the night, the two missing kids showed back up because they thought we'd be done. And we probably should have been done, but we weren't. And so that was a surprise to everybody, and then they tried to run, and they got caught that time. So all of them got caught. We sent them to juvenile prosecutor, tried to get them locked up. They wouldn't lock them up for it. So they basically, we just submitted the case. And the sheriff's office is going to handle it under their alarm. They basically reclassified their earlier call for the alarm drop to a burglary. And we just carried it under their report. So anyway, that's what the burglary is that you see on here. I've got lots of Facebook messages and texts and stuff about all the police stuff on Facebook posts about that, trying to explain it.
Oh yeah, the community page was blowing up that day, wondering what was going on.
Yeah.
I probably fielded a half dozen or more messages just asking if I knew what was going on, so, yeah.
Well, I mean, what kind of made it a little more is when the kids ran, that was just the first arriving car. They ran from the first arriving car. Well, then when you got people running, then they slow down because they're fleeing. So then everybody lights and sirens, and they come in, and it seems like there's a major deal going on. And I mean, it kind of is, but yeah. The public not knowing what it is, they kind of make their suspicions and put it on Facebook or whatever. So. Anyway, so 97 calls. I mean, as usual, about half of that's traffic violations. So we stopped 57 cars. And then just to let you know, I'm not going to be here at the October meeting, but I'll probably have Mike be here, or at least get you a copy of the report. Otherwise, but I don't know if you guys have any questions about anything. But that's basically what's going on.
Okay, awesome. And also I just want, because I've had some comments on it and I've addressed it with people who make the comment, but again, just so everyone has that same information. But, we are up to 6 auxiliary units now, correct? 5?
Well, I've actually looked at the roster. I think
Yep.
it's like 7. And well, including me, it's 7 probably.
Okay. So people ask, like, why do we need so many police officers? Remember, auxiliary only work maybe 1 day a month. 8 hours is all they're required to work for us to keep their certificate going. Now, they may work more, but they're only required to work 8 hours in that month. So it's not like we have 7 full-time people out on the streets 24/7. We're still a part-time department. I think we've done some simple math, and if we were a full-time department but just ran off auxiliary, we'd need like over 100 auxiliary members. I mean, just put that in perspective. I mean, that way, because
It would take 91 volunteers
Yeah.
to cover the village 24/7 if they only did 8 hours a month.
Yeah.
So I guess if we have 100 freebies, then people can complain about that.
Yeah. So I just want to make sure, because sometimes it is, people think that when we say, oh, we hired a new officer, we hired a new full-time 40-hour, we have not. We don't have a budget for that type thing.
Great.
It would be great if we did. And educating people that no one on our police department gets paid. Everyone volunteers all their time. So usually, once I explain that, people's like, oh, well, that makes sense now versus, what you see or whatever. And and I don't want to get to where we don't post this stuff, because we want people to know, hey, we are growing our police department and getting you more, and it's not costing you anything extra, per se. So, I hopefully everyone, understands that, and it's not, because I did have one person that just thought we were wasting all of our money on a police department. It's like, well, we've only spent think what we spent total this year for the police department, $30,000. That's starting it up somewhere around there. Like, that's unheard of, to start up a brand new from scratch for $30,000. So, and we're not taking out, we've had to take out one loan, and that was just for the main vehicle that we use. And it's a short-term, no-interest loan, so, well, lease, I shouldn't even say loan. So, you know, again, it's a payment, yes, but, you know, it got us to where we knew we had at least one good vehicle, because all the other ones are donated vehicles that are well-used type thing, so. But just make sure that, you know, when people ask questions, we do have answers for them, because I think it's frustrating when people don't get answers, and then that's when assumptions come up, so. Kind of just to segue from the police department and the mayor's court, just kind of update you where we are so far. So this is from startup of mayor's court to end of August, so it doesn't include my last one. We've heard 193 cases total.
How many?
193.
Thank you.
The total money when I say fine, remember, this is not fine like this is actual fine. This includes the state cost, the county cost, and that's where most of this money goes. We've generated, and I don't know if we want to say it, that's the proper word, but $21,000. I'm going to say more than half of that goes to the state. Like, we don't keep that. And then the other, once you get down, part of it goes to the county, part of it goes to a special computer fund, you know, fines. You know, when we break it down based on that 10,900 or 10,090 is kind of where our fines are estimated to be at. When there's 193, our average fine is $52. So that's not bad. That's kind of how we're still trying to build metrics on this, and that's kind of one of the metrics I think we want to look at is like, you know, what is the overall average fine? Because that should be reasonable, right? We shouldn't be saying our average fine is $500 because that's ridiculous type thing. It has to be fair, but also has to be just type thing. So just kind of give you an update on that. It seems to be going very well, you know, as well as a court can be. We've only had to bring the magistrate in once, to hear someone wanted to go to trial for a speeding ticket, which I got to learn how to do a trial. I mean, that was the main thing for bringing her in, to teach me kind of how to do that. Pretty easy for that type of case because the radar says you were speeding. You have nothing to say that you weren't, other than your word. You know, there's no facts to present type thing to counteract. So, but that's kind of where we're at with that. And most of all of our tickets are out of town. Like, I think Thornport, Thornville, that area probably is our highest number of tickets written. I mean, it just seems like there's, I don't know, that population is just used to flying through Pleasantville to go to Lancaster, and now they're getting caught. And it's not like they're 2 miles over. I mean, we're looking at, 60, 70, and a 35 for some of them. So it's definitely slowing some speeders down and tracking the school zones, things like that, which people get kind of ticked off when they're in a school zone and get a speeding ticket because they swear up and down there weren't kids out there, even though there's kids everywhere. But it is making it a little bit safer down there. We'll go on to old business. I have nothing for old business. Anyone else? If not, new business. Resolution 9/12/2401. It's the supplemental appropriation, and this is to increase our supplementals. Again, this is for the, when we look at the budget, you have your big line that goes to the county, like that total, general fund total, but then you have individual lines that we adjust as we need. So that's kind of what this is for. So general fund, to increase payments to another political subdivision for tax payments is $186.20. General fund, $14,910. It's for other professional technical services for mowing, personal property, where people aren't paying, and then we assess their taxes. Mosquito spraying, and our CDBG grants that we've been working on for our portion of our funds. General fund 871, that's for the Queen Scholarship from the festival, but keep in mind that they're all self-sustaining. This isn't us giving them money. This is money they raised, and I think we plugged in, $500 for that, and it turned out to be a little bit more. General fund, $300 for the sewer at 101 South Main. Park and Rec, $366.77, again for tax collection fees. And police fund, $229.97 for tax collection fees, and those go to the county. Do I hear a motion to approve? Michelle made the motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I'll second it.
Sarah second. Roll call.
President Dumont,
Yes.
Councilman Mason,
Yes.
Councilman Pangborn,
Yes.
Councilwoman Farrier,
Yes.
Councilman Morton,
Yes.
Councilwoman Henry.
Yes.
All right, we've talked about scenarios like this 100 times, and I always like to bring them back because, again, I want to make sure everyone's aware. But the Pleasantville Lions Club was started up as of July. They have some great projects already going on to help serve the community. One of the things they're doing is collecting during their meetings from their members different snacks for the Pleasantville and Bremen Elementary. If you guys want to donate to that too, you're more than welcome. We make a delivery to either school once a month. And it just helps some of the kids that need to be pulled out of class and maybe take a walk, and they can kind of give the student a snack or whatever. It's one of the things that they need. And then the school, I'm gonna call her the school nurse, because that's kind of what she does there. But she's gonna get a list, because there may be some clothing items that they need there, such as undergarments, things like that, in case an accident happened, some sweatpants. So she'll get me a list of what they need, maybe some sizes. And I told her, make sure that they always communicate all that stuff back to me as a central point, and then we go out to the clubs and organizations to kind of say, hey, this is what the need is. And of course, I'll always bring it back here in case someone wants to donate. But we've always told all of our organizations they can use any of our buildings free of charge for whatever they need to, as long as it doesn't compete with something that we're making money off of. So the Lions Club is, they haven't confirmed this yet, but this is something that they've talked about, is doing a sports gear closet, kind of like Plato's Closet for Fairfield Union, and to get donated items from people for football, soccer, cheerleading, band, whatever, or even cash donations. And then they need a place to store it. So we bought the 100 North Main Street over there, and the upstairs is like open right now. We're just using it for storage. There's plenty of storage up there. Council, are you guys okay with the Lions Club kind of using that and maybe having, I say a storefront, not a storefront, but maybe a corner where times to do this, and like have it as like a store, and then they can, you know, bring people in to get what they need.
Yeah, are they gonna sell it, or are they just giving it away like the walk through?
The goal, I believe, is to donate it to
Yeah,
the
goal is
families.
to donate
Yeah,
Or to take in donations too.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like, I'm done with my soccer cleats, I'm gonna put them there, but I'm gonna take this pair so I don't have to buy a new one.
Yeah.
It's kinda,
Yeah,
trade up with
Give and
sizes or
take.
whatever.
yeah. So
They haven't confirmed how they're gonna do it yet, but I would assume you would take donations anytime, because sometimes people just clean out their closet.
It's still a work in progress, and I'm sure we'll talk about it on
Yeah.
Monday.
let me know.
Yeah.
I feel like it's wonderful. You
Well-
might need more in a closet.
Yeah, well, and honestly, if you do, we can drop them off, because whether the Lions Club takes it or not, we can go ahead and start those collections, and then if we don't do it, someone else may just be like, here, whatever organization, here's some stuff, if you wanna do that kind of thing. Because again, there's always a need to kind of give back to families that can't afford stuff, and again, there's people that need to get rid of stuff, but they don't know how to, or they don't want, like me, I'd rather throw something away than take the time to put it and market it and stuff like that, like honestly. But if I can drop it off somewhere, I'm happy. So I think that right there would be a good thing.
Yeah, I would agree that we,
Okay.
everybody else feels.
Yeah, we don't need a vote for that, I just want to make sure everyone's okay with it. All right. Again, I mentioned that our Lions Club was set up in July. It's going well. Hocking Township Fire Association, they help us out with our festival. They have a tent there with their association. They participate in the parade. They are selling $5 tickets for a flat top grill, one of the Blackstones, and it has the warmer drawers in the bottom. They're $5 each. The tickets are on sale at the office. They're on sale until the end of this month. I believe their drawing is October 10th, but their final sales will be the end of this month, so they have time to collect all the tickets back. So if anyone is interested in that, I think it's a good cause. One, it goes to their association and helps out their fire department. And again, they're a great partner of Pleasantville's. Bremen has their Oktoberfest on the 29th of this month, just to help promote that a little bit. So they should have something similar to what our festival was. So I hope everyone goes down and helps support that if you can. And, personally, for our festival, I want to thank all the volunteers, all the man hours we put into it. We don't have the exact number yet, but we are on the positive, and we should stay on the positive. We still have some bills to pay, but they also have some cash that they need to account for through different sales. So we'll be working on next year's through that committee. It's our 5th year. Hopefully we can make it a little bit bigger, a little bit better. We don't know what that is yet, but that's the goal. And again, if anyone wants to join that committee too, we don't have a cap. It could be whoever wants to be on it, and we need people, not just to volunteer, but also to help make decisions. And when we come up with these ideas, there's just, 5 of us? I only know so much. I mean, I'm not saying like I'm the smartest person in the world, because I'm not, but like, I know this much, and Sam knows this much, and Penny knows, like, Corey knows this much, and we do great with that, but sometimes it takes someone else coming in and being like, hey, have you ever thought of this? No, but it sounds like a great way to make money and to improve the festival. So, we're looking for people like that, and again, to volunteer, because at the end of the day, we need volunteers to help work the day of the event, which we've gotten better at that, to where we don't need as many, but it'd be nice so we can get a little bit more breaks in for people that do volunteer. I think that's all I have. We'll go around the table. Katie? No? You smiled like you had something. Sarah?
No,
Okay. Corey?
I just would like for the people in the room, our Lions Club meetings are the 3rd
Monday.
Monday.
at
6.
6.
So if anybody wants to.
And we might as well plug all of our organizations, because we do have a lot of great organizations in this little town, and no one knows about them. We have an organization called Los Sertoma that meets monthly. They do a lot of different things to support the community, plus literacy at the schools. Corey's the president of that. The American Legion, Bob is the commander for that organization. They,
Turkey shoots October 6th.
yep, and that's one of their big money makers.
October 6th?
Yes.
all right.
And that'll be at the marathon.
First one, big marathon.
Yep.
At noon. I should have put that in the newsletter.
Yep.
Please.
I
Well,
already
the
did
newsletter just went
newsletter.
out. So,
But I'll get you some flyers.
Thank you.
but yeah, we definitely put it on our
Okay.
Facebook page and help.
Do a flyer and then send me a thing that I can post on the community page.
Gotcha. Yep.
And they do a lot with our local veterans, and they also help out the community as well. And then we have the Pleasant Valley Masonic Temple, who meets above the post office. They do a lot of great things with the community, and they're a huge supporter of the village as well. They always have been, volunteering at different things. Years past, they've donated a lot of money to the village for different things. As they had it, again, like every organization, their funds are getting smaller and smaller and smaller, because, they own a building, their utilities keep going up, so they can't put that money out into the service anymore. It's helping to pay for the facility, same thing with the American Legion. So they all need members, they all need volunteers. Just keep that in mind, because we do have some great organizations. And we also have the Pleasantville Grange. It's still an active organization. They'll be meeting, they have their annual, it slipped my
It's
mind.
coming up, I think.
Well, it's in November, but they have a name. I'll mess it up. It starts with a P. Pomona Grange meeting. So it's like a district, and so all the district Granges will be coming to Pleasantville to have a dinner.
Oh, nice.
And they do that once a year, because usually we're about the only Grange building left, because we bought it. The village bought it, and we maintain it. But with that purchase, they were allowed to use that building anytime they want. Meaning we have to kick people out if they want it, which they don't do that. They really want one time a year, because the rest of the time they're meeting at Steak and Shake or wherever, they just go out for dinner and meet. But, that's another great organization that does a lot of great things, especially for the farmers there. So make sure we're plugging all those organizations. Michelle? All right, Bill? Bob? Penny?
Me?
Yep.
Okay, I did the assessments this year.
Uh-huh.
We got them into the county. It was roughly $10,000 between water payments, sewer payments, and mowing.
Okay, yep, and just so everyone is aware, so like if you owe the village money and you don't pay it, we assess your property taxes, and that's what she's doing. And again, it's usually for past due water bills where people have moved out, but we still have to reclaim that money, past due sewer bills. There's also some people that's how they pay their water and sewer.
Right.
Like honestly, I don't understand why they do that,
We
but,
have a couple that do that.
and then mowing, We have some properties that and they're not like where people actually live. They're just properties that have been neglected, no one lives there. The actual owner doesn't want to take care of it. We can summons them into mayor's court, but guess what? They're never gonna show up. So we just mow it, assess their taxes, we charge fees and penalties on that. So we get our money that way, and they pay it at the end of the year. If not, then we can take away their property at some point. So, all right, anything else? You have anything?
Nope.
All right, anyone else have anything? Because it's only 8:30.
Halloween.
Oh, yeah, trick or treat, is, thank you, Casey.
26.
Yes, it's always the last Saturday of October, and it's the 26th from 5 PM to 7 PM. Again, we will be here at this station, passing out donuts and drinks through Pleasant Township Fire Association, Pleasant Township Fire. Walnut Township will be here to help with traffic. They don't help out with that currently. But yeah, both fire departments will be here to help with traffic, so we'll, Los Sertoma will be here, the Lions Club will be here. I believe the school's doing something, the churches are doing something, like all the different organizations are trying to do something. It turns out to be a decent sized crowd. And then I'm working on bringing another food truck in like we did last year. Cause that kinda went over decently. It's not the best, but again, sometimes parents are rushing around last minute. It gives them something, a choice there. But I think that's it. And we do need some volunteers for that too, for traffic control, little things, it's nothing major, but, just to kind of fill in, because if the fire departments get a run, they have to leave, then we kind of have to fill in behind them.
It's a Saturday, right?
Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, I'll volunteer.
Okay, all right, and if you want to volunteer, you don't have to sign up, just kind of be here at 4:30-ish, and then that way we can figure out who's here, who's not, and then assign workload. All right, so I think that's it. Anything else? If not, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Bill, that's your cue. All right,
I'll second it.
Second by Sarah. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, 8:28.
So, Bob, I can't remember if I have something that weekend, but we'll come help
Thank you, Casey, for doing
Good.
all that.
for your
If
turkey
we
shoot.
don't-
Let me check
If we don't
with
need
Dave,
help,
because
we
there
need
was
to come
some,
shoot.
well, Dave
Kevin
would definitely
came in.
come shoot, but you
Kevin
probably
Hill
need
came
help.
in.
I probably